Hey, precious souls, it's Dr. Karin, and I just want to free flow with you guys. Something pretty powerful happened to me today, and I am kind of stuck, not stuck, and I want to talk through it with you guys and just talk about the journey of like being an author and having a book that I've been working on now, a book proposal for over a year. As you can see over here, I've got my two screens. I have two edited versions of my book Gravity up there, and part of why it's been taking me so long to get this proposal done, my agent's waiting for it. My goal is to have this to her by Friday, the final edit. But there's been like a stuck point for me, hey everyone, on sharing my story. And it's taken me a long time to come to peace with the intent of sharing the story and what that is gonna mean for people, right? So, and this is why I want to talk to you, because I want you to be able to apply this in your own life. It's a big realization about going back and sharing painful stories. And I know a lot of you on here like know a lot of my story. I know a lot of your stories, and some of you I know have gone through this too recently, because some of you have been my clients. The intent on sharing your story, when you get to a place where you can share it with the intent of being in service and the intent of helping other people find their stepping stones to their pathway to healing, then it is coming from a place of service. But I've really struggled because in my new book, it's called Gravity, A Woman's Guide to Finding Gravity After a Relationship Falls Apart. Okay, and those of you that have worked with me or that know me know I've had two extremely painful divorces. Both had a lot of trauma in them for me, and I went through a lot of years of getting like specialized therapy treatment and all this stuff, and I've had a spiritual awakening ever since. You know, I went back and got my PhD. Now I'm a single mom of three, and so I have this wealth of information that keeps like guiding me to a place to where I can want to help people, and part of it for me is writing this book. So I've gone back and forth about how much to share, because I always want the intention and the energy of it to be out of helping, not out of malice, not out of resentment, not out of wanting someone else to hurt. But when I started writing this proposal, there was still a little bit of that in there. So I've had to keep going back and like shaving off things that it's like, is there a purpose in sharing this? This is, I want you to remember for your life too. So when you want to talk about a past relationship, right? And I'm not talking about in a therapist's office. Now in a therapist's office, you tell the whole story, the truth and nothing but the truth. You got to get that out. You got to have your cries. You got to work it out. You've got to like label every emotion, be totally raw and real in there. But when you're like here in a public forum, social media, or maybe you're speaking to a friend or to a group, always check with yourself and just check, is this information necessary? Is it helpful? And is the motive behind it coming from a positive place, right? So I went through years, and I just wrote a post that's going to be coming out on Instagram and Facebook this next week about being able to accept the apology and accept the thank you that you never got and that you're never going to get from somebody. And a lot of me writing this and writing it about people that I've been in relationships with, these two men in particular, my ex-husbands, I could find myself very often going down the rabbit hole of sharing a lot, because I was like, I want the world to know like how much you hurt me. I somehow had this unsatisfied need, because the truth never really came out, right? And I was like, but they're bad, like they did bad things. But the more I go back and the more I process and the more that I grow and I go back and look at it, I look at those sentences and I'm like, okay, is this information really necessary to share? Is it helpful? Or am I going to be recreating a new karmic loop, a new energy cycle, whatever you want to call it, of negativity? Am I releasing it just because of my ego, right? Because somehow it makes me look better if I can make them look worse. I'm just as human as you guys. So I've been going through this process and continuously reshaping the way this book looks, particularly specific to the stories about these breakups. You know, within them, and I won't tell you who was what, I mean, within them was a lot of abuse. There was physical abuse, there was a ton of emotional abuse, there was embezzlement, there was tons of infidelity, there was babies with other women, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of domestic violence. Like I been through a lot, okay? So I kind of recreated these relationships based on the relationship that I saw my parents have, which was very toxic, very abusive home life. And so I went into these two marriages and had these recurring negative experiences. Thank you. So today, anyway, so I'm just catching you up. Those of you that just are meeting me, that's kind of part of my background. A lot of you know all of it and way too much more. But I want this book to be so powerful, and I want it to really help people, and I don't want to hurt anybody else, or specifically my ex-husbands, because I really am at the point, and it makes me want to cry. Like, I really do wish them well. Like, I really want good things to happen to them. One of them is happily remarried, and he's doing great. He's a baseball player. Some of you know that, some of you don't. But it feels so good to be at a place where I really want them to do well, and I don't want to hurt them by putting anything in here that's going to cause pain, right? So I'm struggling. So this is me being real, ponytail on my head, like, this is hard for me. And I'm like, it is the information I'm giving you guys that I'm going to be putting out there to help other people, helpful. Like, I don't want to hurt to help, right? So I'm grappling with this, because I want the readers, you guys, to know when you get this, those of you that go through hard breakups, this is going to be for you, like how to find your way again. I just want you to know that I get you. Like, I've been there, I've been through it, right? Like, I know the pain, I know depression, I know what it felt like wanting to check out my life. Like, I have been to the depths of all of it. And I feel like that builds trust. So it's the level of me telling the story enough to give that to you. But I'm gonna tell you what happened today. So my agent gave me, my editor gave me back my proposal, and my goal is to get it done this week on top of 20 million other things that I'm trying to get back out to you guys. And I was on my prayer cushion this morning, doing my, I'm really tearful today, doing my meditation, and something said in me, you guys always follow like a little nudge in your spirit to look for messages. And I was sitting there doing meditation, and something said, my prayer pillow is next to my nightstand in the corner of my room. I have a meditation corner. I sit in front of a mirror, actually, on a prayer cushion, and I have singing bowls around me. And I just ask for God, source, to surround me with white light, and I meditate. And something said on my nightstand, I have a little thing with books. So there's a message for you up here, and they were like, you need to pull the book, it's on the end. I mean, I didn't hear it audibly, but I felt this nudge in my spirit, and I looked, and none of my spiritual books were there, because I assumed it had to have been one of my like super woo-woo spiritual books, right? Thank you, Rachel. And this book. So how many of you know about Rachel Hollis? She's amazing. Now she has the one, Girl Stop Apologizing. So this book, Girl Wash Your Face, I haven't even read the whole thing. I've like thumbed through it, but she's doing incredible work. If you don't follow her, effing amazing. And it just said open, we're going to show you the page. So you know how you do, I just opened it, and I'm like, okay. And it was the part where she shares the story about her brother committed suicide, and she went like to the dark night of the soul, and she's talking about it. And I actually, my soul awakening was, the catalyst to it was the suicide of someone that I loved very much. And so I'm reading this, and like Spirit was telling me as I'm reading it, like, look how she's sharing. Like, it was such a beautiful way of how she became super vulnerable. And she was saying as she was sharing it, like, it was not something she wanted to talk about. She didn't want to, like, you know, she wanted to be a positive place of service for people. And the way that she explained it was so beautiful. I was just amazed. This came in like this exact moment I'm struggling with this. And I just sat down and prayed, and I'm like, my Spirit team, I could hear, like, I feel guidance in my head. They were like, as you're writing this part of the book, they want me to like be reading this at the same time so it can help me. You know how you do, you get inspired. So I'm going to be reading that as I'm finishing this up this week. And it just gave me like, I'm crying because it gave me so much peace. Like, I'm just so amazed. You guys, you're so supported by Spirit. You're so supported by your angels and guides. Just anytime you get a nudge to like call someone or pick up a book or just like turn this on, like do, because there are always messages of love and support waiting for you to clarify, you know, these like challenges, thanks Felicia, that we have. And you're just so loved. I must tell you, I know that I'm so loved. And when I get things like that, like I feel so loved. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm applying that here. I'm leaving some of the really tough stuff in here, just because I feel like, you know, if there's that woman out there that's like being abused, that's at that dark space, that's finding out, like, that's in a worst case scenario, like, I've been here and look where I am now. Like, look, my kids are calling me. Yeah. We're gonna leave in just a minute. Yeah. Did I mention I'm a single mom of 3 kids? They're waiting to go to the pool. Yeah, like, oh gosh. Oh, that's a terrible message. Okay, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Okay, I have to hop off in a second, but I wanted you guys to know, like, trust your guidance. Whenever you're having a hard time, like I was struggling, ask for guidance. Like, as I took my walk today with everything, here's your prayer. Just show me the next steps. in your prayer time, whoever you pray to, just say, just show me the next step. It's the simplest prayer. You don't have to repeat it 5 million times. The universe, God, your angels hear you the first time, and then be open to finding the guidance when they drop it in, okay? Because they will always clarify it for you. Confusion is an illusion. You're not meant to stay confused. You're not meant to stay in a place of not knowing. Your clarity will come. Just ask for it. Stop resisting based on something other people are telling you, and know, like, trust that when you're in a good space energetically, which means like service, high service, and positive intent, right? If you're ever doing something out of resentment or negative, thanks, Debbie. I love all of you so much. Whenever you're doing something out of a positive vibrational place, positive soul place, positive emotional place, you're always going the right direction. If you ever feel yourself doing something to make someone else feel bad about themselves, or you guys know, like out of resentment, and somehow it feels right because the gossip circle's going, and you can toss in a my husband's worst story. I know, I've done it, my ex-husband's, whatever. Now I practice so much like resisting, because the more you give into that negative energy, the more you do it out of an intent of malice and like trying to join a gossipy situation, the more that negative energy gets created again and again, and you're trying to walk away from that. You don't want to keep expanding it. It will expand more, and it will come back to you again, and you'll keep recreating that. We don't want that for you. We want you to create a positive future, a positive today, all right? That's what I want for you. Okay, you guys, I'm creating right now all these ways to work with me, my spiritual guidance, my intuitive guidance readings. It's almost done. My team is working on the landing pages for you guys to be able to sign up for them. I'm about to start doing the, Felicia's talking about contraction and expansion. Yeah, anything that contracts you is not a good thing to put out there. If something expands you, like that's where you want to stay, right? So when you feel contracted, just ask for the next steps and ask to be led back to expansion. Anyway, my intuitive guidance readings are coming up. We're creating everything right now. I also have a video coming out by the end of the week on spiritual awakening. The top 11 signs you're going through a spiritual awakening. I want to help you if you're going through this, if you're struggling with any of this. I want to work with you. I want to help guide people out of this place of looking back at the past, looking back at resentment, holding on to these old pains, because I know, you guys, I've been there. I still feel it, right? But to help you find your way to a place where you're living with joy, because, forgiveness and getting through it can be really difficult when we're so used to holding that pain and recreating those negative patterns. But once we find our way to freedom, you guys, yes, I trip up all the time, but you come back so much quicker, and your set point, like I said in my Insta story today, is love, right? So that is where I want to help you get to. I've been doing this work for almost 20 years. Like, I know what I'm talking about. I went from being a clinical therapist to having a spiritual awakening. And now, thanks you guys, so much love. Now I do like soul guidance and life guidance, relationship. I do master level coaching. I have a ton of experience, so much training. I'm also a medium, so I'm also going to be doing these intuitive guidance readings with you. I will be explaining that in another video, because I want to talk to your spirit team and give you some guidance from them, just like I get from mine. We can connect, and I'm going to be offering those for the first time to the public. So I can't wait to do that with you guys. All right, my kids are calling. I gotta go. I love you guys. Remember, when you follow your heart, follow your heart. Always from love. You're always going the right direction. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye. Thanks for listening.